Well, speaking of history, let's take a little walk down memory lane, and some of this might actually be beyond your and I's living memory. We have to go
That's right.
back to our history books, for some of these. But that's okay. That's what we like to do. It's a fun
Exactly.
fun exercise. So I'm gonna pull up. Let's see. Let's start with Chrysler. This is one of Bill O'Neill, the founder of Investors Business Daily, one of his favorite charts because this was a big winner for him. And of course, this was a deeper base, but there was news, right? There was a reason
Yes.
that there was a little bit of a let's say panic in the markets at the time.
Totally. So you've got, I would assume the chart from the most recent publication of the story, because I have one
Yes,
here. Yeah, I have one
the
here going
original.
back to the original. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Uh-huh.
January 2nd, 2013. This is the original copy. Notice how it's very gray and,
Yeah.
and old
A
looking.
little yellowed.
Yellow, yellowed, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes, but I have to say this is one of my favorite columns of the time. This is 12 years old, right? And the detail, the narrative that Bill spun with your assistance in a story was really unforgettable. How that how that base form, for instance, on the right side, you see all those arrows pointing to high closes and up weeks. We're looking at the up week, a weekly chart, everybody, and you can see
Mhm.
all of those weeks, or many of them, showed accelerating turnover or above average weekly volume. That line on the volume charts, very, very valuable. That's your 10-week moving average for volume. So whenever you see that wall of blue, like what we talked about on the right side of the base, as well as 4 up weeks in a row, 5 up weeks in a row, 6 up weeks in a row. This is something that Bill really ingrained in our brains as we try to look for the current winners of the time. And then, as highlighted in the story, this is from the January 2023 edition. A U.S. spy plane taking pictures of Soviet missile bases under construction in Cuba. So we had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and Soviet ships loaded with missiles were to meet a U.S. Navy blockade, and that terrifying moment in world history happened at the same time that Chrysler fell sharply within that handle, but created a nice handle in which the most important thing about handles is, one, they form close to the high of that base that you build. Two, that is a final shakeout where those shares are being sold to sturdier hands, if you will. And if those sturdier hands hold on, that creates an artificial uh, shrinkage in the supply of shares available for those who really want to buy and scoop those shares. So as soon as we had the follow through, as you can see on the upper part of that chart, 10/29/62, uh, Chrysler was like that proverbial beach ball that was submerged underwater in the pool and let go and just rocketed to new highs. And this is typically what you see when you want to find the leader after a significant correction or market. You have to really be on your toes to find those stocks that are just ready to burst out of a very good base. So another thing too is 36-week cup with handle. You had to be patient. You had to wait for this pattern to develop too. This was nearly a 38% decline from high to low. So normally, a lot of bases don't really turn out to be that great after the stock gets back into those highs. But because this company had a great management team, they had great products on the civilian side of the cars, but also they were contributing to the building of aerospace and military planes in the early stages of the Cold War. This was such a timely company, and that chart really speaks volumes about that.
hmm And to your point, yes, the Cuban Missile Crisis, for those that need a little refresher in their history, the 13 days of that crisis was in October of 1962, from October 16th to October 28th. So the follow-through day on October 29th was as soon as that, as soon as the sigh of relief was breathed worldwide,
Yeah.
that's when the follow through day happened and coincided with the breakout here for Chrysler. And just so folks know where we're pulling this from, David mentioned that we had a series 12, 13 years ago in the Investors Business Daily. We published it every Wednesday. This was written by Bill O'Neill, and we decided to redo them. We kept all of Bill's notes and everything that he had originally wrote, but we thought it was a good idea to resurface these, and so we've been doing that this year, where we've been republishing these in the paper. So I'll include the links, the URLs to some of these charts that
Great.
we're talking about. I'll tweet those out so folks can look these up. But they're absolutely very interesting to look at in the historical context of these charts.
Hey, Justin, let's
Yeah,
also point out the fact that you can see just above the volume bars in 63 and 64, there were two-for-one splits, which
yeah,
that means is that the breakout at that time, right after that 12, 13-day Cuban Missile Crisis that you really eloquently highlighted there, and the follow-through on October 29th, the actual breakout point in the story was 58.50. So
hmm
another lesson: don't necessarily try to find the cheapest stocks in the market. Some of these stocks have incredible moves when they're trading 40, 60 a share or even higher.